Might be on fire. Oh dear. Yeah, that's not good. Hi guys, Lee here, welcome back to the channel, and you join me today as we're going to have a look at my latest purchase, a 2009 Fiat Punto 1.4 GP model, which I bought for just over £417 from auction, including fees. Now this car looks like it's been abandoned, as you can see in these pictures, because I have had this car for, what, best part of 18 months. I bought this car from auction. The backstory to this was, it went through the auction as a spares and repairs car. It did actually drive through, but it had a horrendously noisy gearbox, which I was fully aware of when I bought it. It was declared, and that's why it was so cheap. I think I gave sort of £300 for it, plus some fees on top, which basically made about £417 out the door at the time. Now, the car obviously got left at the auction far longer than it needed to be. Reason for that was because at the time we were buying a lot of cars from auction. It was during the second lockdown, and cars hadn't yet gone on that sort of massive upwards trend. Stuff was still very cheap, and at the time as well, during that lockdown period, we were getting a lot of cars at very cheap prices, and we were going to sales and getting 15 cars one sale, then maybe 10 the next sale. It was just a crazy period of time that lasted for about 3 or 4 months, and this is one of those cars that was included in that purchase of a number of other cars which got bought and sold at that time. And because it was spares and repairs, I didn't really want to drive it back, because to be honest with you, how noisy the gearbox was, I didn't even think for 1 minute that it would even make a drive home. It was that noisy, that bad. So I left it there with the intentions to pick it up and recover it. That never really happened, and I just generally forgot about it. And other cars we were dealing with got dealt with first. It just ended up at the back of the line and forgotten about until recently. Now, that obviously isn't great, because obviously we're going to be left, by leaving the car for such a length of time, we've probably caused more issues and more problems we're going to have to deal with today. But on the flip side of it, because of the way cars have gone price-wise, the vehicle's probably worth a lot more money now in a finished capacity to resell it on than it would have been 18 months ago. That's for damn sure. So we might have some benefit out of this for leaving it for that period of time. Not that I'm suggesting that's a good idea, by the way. That was my mistake, and obviously I probably really should have dealt with this a lot sooner than I actually did. But it is what it is. We need to get it back to the unit and get this car fixed, to turn around, hopefully get a profit out of it, and hopefully give someone a decent car at the end of this process. So that's what we're going to do today. I've got it recovered. I've had to get some guys in. I've called a favour in. They're going to get the car brought back to me and that's now on the way. They've given me a call. They're going to be here shortly with the car. So that's good news. So when we've got it here, we can actually go through it, get it started, have a proper walk round it. We'll try and move it. But I'm not 100% confident we're going to get very far in it. But we'll have a go, see what happens. And we can then compile a list together of what we need to do to the Punto in order to get it fixed and hopefully get it up for sale and try and extract some profit out of it. So that's what we're going to do. They should be here any minute. As soon as they land, we'll get the car off, have a look round it, and we'll go from there. So let's go and have a look at my abandoned Punto and see what sort of state it's in. Okay, the Punto has landed. Oh, right, where do we start with this? Flat tyre straight away off the bat, not good. I think we're going to need to put some tyres on this, because he's probably left that long. They've flattened them and driven flat as well onto the truck, so they're probably knackered anyway. Yeah, they'll be been well and truly knackered. Obviously, it wants a very, very big clean. It wants jet washing off, 10% of TFR putting over it in G101, and then we'll be able to actually see what we need to do paint wise, because trying to work out what the bodywork's like underneath all this gunk and crap is pretty difficult, to be honest. So we'll just do a quick tour around it, towing eyes on it. Obviously it's been pulled onto the ramp. It probably would have started and driven, to be fair, because I know it did drive through, but the gearbox was horrendous. Another flat tyre, so we're on 2 tyres straight away. Obvious paint mark there, we can see it's gone down to the corner that one's dealing with of the arch. Like I say, it's really difficult to work out what's dirt and what's paint damage. That looks like a scratch there potentially. Paintwork's flat, horrible. You know, it's just really difficult to work out what we're going to need to paint. It looks like it might need paint there, or that's been touched in before badly. It's really difficult without cleaning it. We're just not going to know. So we're mainly just looking for damage, really. Tyre on the back, it's about 4mm on it. That stayed up as well, which is good, so at least we know that's alright. On the back, panel straight. A little bit of crazy paving going on here on the bumper, but again, you know, until we get it all shiny back until we get it all cleaned off and shiny again. We can't really work out what we're going to need to tackle paint wise. I can see on here, this side, this doesn't look too bad this side actually, it's not as dirty. We've got a horrible flick can job here, someone's touched in on that quarter. There's a mark above the door handle to the left of it. There, the rust spots come through. It's just not great. We've got a mark here, a scratch on the arch as well. It's chipped the paint. So you probably end up to tackle that, because that's going to stand out like a sore thumb once you buffed it up, because it's just been, someone just flick canned it, trying to think they're thinking that it's just making it better. We just paint that quarter, paint the door in that quarter. You're going to have to blend it anyway. If you hit that door and paint into this quarter to here, you'll end up sort of over this area anyway doing that. That'd be the easiest thing to do, get it back to looking half decent. But obviously, like I said, we just need to crack on with the rest of it first and worry about the paint later. I'm not bothered about the paint so much really, because I know, you know, we have to paint for a quarter and a few corners or whatever, and then give it a good mopping over. It probably will come up and make a car, to be honest, but we'll see when we've got it cleaned up how bad the situation is with the paint. Let's have a quick look at the actually, funny enough, let's have a look at the entry forms on it from Aston Barclay originally. See, this is how old this car is. They don't even use these entry forms anymore. MOT ran out in January 2022. It's a 1.4 Punto GP model. It's at 7 former keepers. It's not been a problem car. The old assured report on there as well, which is absolutely worthless. Let's have a quick look inside it. One key. Welcome to a world of mould. It is absolutely rancid in here, and it smells rancid as well, can you believe? It definitely, it's all on the roof line and everywhere. It wants a very substantial valet shampoo. Always probably wants the seats sort of gutting and cleaning properly to get rid of all that smell on the carpets. Like I said, it's doable. It's not exactly a difficult job to sort out. Dash wise is pretty straight actually, to be fair. Plastics are all there. Stereo's missing, but it's actually, no, it's not. It's there. Look, there's a stereo been thrown in the back there. Someone's got to be bothered to put the stereo in. Steering wheel's got a little bit of wear, but nothing much too bad really. All the switch gears and switches are there. Nothing's broken. 5-speed manual, it is what it is. Interior will clean up with a bit of elbow grease and a lot of G101. Right, so let's pop bonnet. Ooh. Good start. A horrible Euro car parts Leon battery. Absolute waste of time them batteries are. Otherwise we've got a bit of an oil leak. We probably want a rock cover gasket. Typical Punto engine. A couple of cobwebs there. But other than that, really down the sides, we've got struts and that are quite clean. They're not got any corrosion or anything like that to worry about. Very simplistic system this and gearbox, so it's not too difficult to get access to. I mean, look how easy that gearbox is to deal with. There's no subframe in the way or anything. That's just a unbolt job off. Pretty straightforward. Pull down and fit a clutch in this, or a gearbox in this case. So anyway, we'll leave this open because we're going to need to try and start it. Right, jump pack is on. We'll try it with this jump pack first. We might need a second one because this jump pack is not the best. I really do need to invest in another jump pack. We've got lights. 80,312 miles. Just flashed up then. Apparently it's January the 1st. It's Tuesday. I think that might need resetting. Right front door open. Let's give it a whirl. Oh my word, she fires into life. That's not a good sign. We've got a battery light on. And we've got a bit of... Oh dear. Might be on fire. Oh dear. Yeah, that's not good. We've got to seize alt now. Great. Oh, right. I mean, what's happened is basically the alternator pulley is absolutely completely seized solid, and basically the belt then is just flying round, being pulled round by the bottom pulley, and it's just obviously just tearing it to pieces, and obviously the rubber is burning, and that's why we got all that smoke. It's quite a common fault actually on Puntos. I've had a few of the years where this alternator seizes up and they throw the belt off. So we could just take the belt off it now and it would start up and run off the battery. It did start and run, so I'm not too worried about the engine, and I know it did run for the auction, and they're not quite a simplistic engine anyway to deal with these, so that's not phasing me too much. But it's not really in a state to drive, unfortunately, now, because the alternator doesn't work and it's got a very noisy gearbox. So what to do with the old Punto now? To be honest with you, it needs a lot of work, but it doesn't faze me that much. I'll tell you why, because at the end of the day, faults and warts and all, it's an 80,000 mile 2009 plate Fiat Punto, which in the current market, a 2009 plate Punto with that sort of mileage on it, it's probably going to be around a £2,000 car in the current market in a retail environment. It's a GP model, and you know, just look over the fact that it's knee deep in crap and it's not looking its best. But if you can return it to its best or get it looking half decent, it's going to obtain that money and sell pretty quick, because small cars like this are selling like hotcakes. And if I could buy stuff like this every day, I would, because this is the stuff that's selling at the moment. The question is just whether or not, is it worth doing? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the effort? And is it worth the spend? Well, yeah, I think it is. And I'll quickly go through the reasons why I think it is, and then I'll quickly go through the numbers as to what I think we might need to spend on this. You see, I've only spent £417 so far on this car. That's all it owes me. Purchase price to get it here. Call the favour in on the getting it here as well, so I haven't had to pay any transport costs, which is great. We definitely need to put 2 tyres on it. We definitely now need to put an alternator on it. Probably might have an alternator lying around one of these, because we did go through a phase of taking these off when we scrapped them years ago. We had a ruck of them because they were common. But we can get an alternator. Worst case, we'll buy a new one. It's not the end of the world. A belt, obviously, because we've probably just destroyed that starting the car up. We obviously need to service it. We need a gearbox as well. It's only a 5-speed Fiat gearbox. They're 10 a penny. They're not difficult to get hold of. You know, I would imagine we could probably get a gearbox for I think around 150 quid for a half decent box, maybe less. You know, maybe we'll have to see what we can get hold of. We might as well throw a clutch in there while we're there. So, you know, we've got a clutch kit for it. That could be another 40 or 50 quid. And then really we've got it mechanically probably running back right again. And then up the bar getting it for an MOT. You know, suspension bits, brakes, stuff like that. There'll be other bits. But let's hypothetically say we spent, I don't know, £300 on bits and bobs for the car, for mechanical parts for the car, gearbox, suspension components, alternator, stuff like that. And then we then spent another £300 on paint. Let's say we have to paint a quarter and the door, and maybe get 1 or 2 of the corners done and give it a buff up. Even if this cost us £1,000, we've still got £1,000 in it, and we'd have a half decent car at the end of it. And I actually think if I keep an eye on the spends, you know, maybe look to maybe get a used alternator, maybe try and sort of get a hold of a cheaper gearbox, do a bit that, you know, obviously we're doing the work ourselves. We might be able to keep the figures down and hopefully keep the spend down as well, so we've got the more money to spend on the paint, because I think 300 or 400 quid on paint realistically would put this car back right again and look it really, really nice. That's what I think probably we'll aim to do with this. So I know some people might think, what are you doing? Why are you dealing with this piece of crap? You know, it's a scrapper, and I get that. But if you look underneath it, there is a car there, and it just wants saving. It's done 80,000 miles, and with a little bit of TLC, it could be a £2,000 car. The numbers have just got to work, and that's what we need to do with this. So that's what we're going to do with this. This is going to be probably for a good month or so, I'd imagine. In and out of the workshop, we're going to have to get a box sorted for it and stuff like that. So it is going to be here for a while, but obviously we're going to have to do a part 2 on it. We will cover it in a part 2, because obviously we want to see the before and after, unless something terrible goes along, unless something terrible happens in the interim, and then we have to sort of bail out of it. Who knows? You never know what's going to happen when you sort of get involved and get underneath the car and see what's going on. But I don't think this is going to give too much problems, to be honest. It doesn't worry me. If it was something like a Golf or a Merc or something like that, a very niche sort of thing, and you know, there's more difficult stuff to work on, then yeah, you could be opening up a can of worms here. But it's a Fiat Punto, you know, they're not difficult, they're quite simple engineering, they're not bad cars actually. I know people slate a lot of Italian cars, but generally they're alright, and the common things that go wrong on them are pretty easy to sort out and well known. You know, they don't have Mitsui horror stories, they're not rot boxes really either, underneath, not really something you worry about on MOTs. They are a very simplistic car. Certainly more easier to maintain and look after than, say, a Corsa of a similar age. So yeah, I think we should go on with this. I think we can make some money out of it. I think it'd be interesting to do, and it'd be nice to save it, because there is a car underneath all this and it has been left around for ages, and that's my fault. So it'll be well worth saving and turning it around, and hopefully trying to extract a bit of money out of it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to document this one as it goes through the channel, go through the process of it going through the workshop, and obviously hopefully turning it around and getting it into a sellable condition, fingers crossed. So that's what we're going to do with this one, guys. Thanks for watching the video. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so. Please watch my other videos as well on the channel. I've got new videos landing every week, so please check them out, and I'll see you all very, very soon.